microphone will then be live when you press the button. If there's a consensus, I will call that out for that and ask if there's any dissension. And if there's a formal vote, we will do that in the previous manner. And a recorded vote requires support from a quarter of the members, and it needs to be asked for in good time. And please could members indicate if they're leaving the meeting. Thank you very much. And I will allow for comfort breaks, although this should be quite a short meeting as it's our annual meeting. And points of order, if any are going to be raised, must state the applicable constitutional provision. And as always, I assume that all councillors will uphold the highest standards of conduct during this meeting and treat one another with courtesy and consideration. And on behalf of BCP Council, and as the chairman presiding, I welcome all members of the public present, some of whom have left the chamber, but welcome to those in the gallery, thank you, and of course anybody who's watching online. And your attendance is very important to us, and all members of the chamber support that. However, as we always have to say, it's a full council meeting, but it's not a public meeting, it's a meeting in public. Right, agenda item 1, apologies. Chief Executive, can you read out the apologies?
Yep, the apologies have been received from Councillor Julie Bagwell, Councillor Olivia Brown, Councillor John Challenor, Councillor Bobby Dove, Councillor Jackie Edwards, Councillor Anne Filer, Councillor Dawn Logan, Councillor Marion Lepoivden, Councillor Andy Martin, Councillor David Martin, Councillor Chris Matthews, Councillor Margaret Phipps, Councillor Peter Sidaway, Councillor Vicky Slade, Councillor Lawrence Williams and Councillor Kieran Wilson.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Chief Executive, can you report on any received?
We have not received any declarations of interest, but if any member is required to make any declaration, they should refer to the flow chart that's contained within the agenda.
Agenda item 3, election of the chair of the council. So at this point, I will hand over to the vice chairman to take the chair. I don't think you need to take the chair physically, vice chairman. Thank you.
I think I'm fine here. Councillors, I seek nomination for the election of chair of the council until the next annual council meeting in 2027. Do we have any proposals?
I'm so happy to nominate.
I have Councillor Ricketts.
Old school Vice Chair. Vice Chairman, members of the Council, it gives me great pleasure to formally propose Councillor Leslie Dedmond for a further term as Chair of BCP Council for the 2026-27 municipal year. I have known Leslie professionally for over 18 years and in that time have had the rather unique privilege of knowing her as a chair to a parish council, mayor to not one but 2 town councils, mayor to a borough council, and now as chair of this council. So it is fair to say if local government had a long service medal for steadfast leadership, Leslie would be wearing it. Over those years, one quality has remained constant: her remarkable calmness under pressure. Anyone who has sat through one of our meetings, particularly when the agenda grows long and opinions grow strong, will know exactly what I mean. Leslie presides as our Britannia, calmly steering this council ship through occasional choppy and sometimes positively tempestuous waters, often well beyond midnight, with a stoicism and stamina that many of us can only admire. But beyond endurance, she brings fairness, patience, a wicked sense of humour, and a genuine respect for every member of this chamber and member of the attending public. She ensures all voices are heard and business is conducted properly, and that even difficult discussions are handled with dignity and balance. Outside the chamber, she represents this council with warmth, grace, and great good sense, always an excellent ambassador for our council and our communities. For all those reasons, and from long personal experience of working alongside her, I can think of no one better suited to continue in this role. I therefore have great pleasure in wholeheartedly proposing Councillor Leslie Dedman as Chair of BCP Council for the forthcoming municipal year.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Moore.
Vice Chair, members of the Council, I'm very happy to second Councillor Leslie Dedman's nomination for Chair of this Council. Leslie, I think, has the perfect gift of keeping us all in order with a smile and good humour. She has the gift of making it look so easy. And when you have 76 councillors divided into an ever-increasing number of political groups, easy is not the first word which readily springs to mind. So thank you, Councillor Dedman, for your excellent work chairing this council to date, and I'm delighted to second your nomination for another term. Thank you.
Are there any further nominations? So I assume we can have a consensus on that? Thank you.
Members, I'm really so pleased that you've done me this honour again. I think Councillor Ricketts, you must be totally wrong about 18 years. That can't possibly be right. But still, I'm sure it is, actually. I had prepared a great big speech about how wonderful you all are and how wonderful the council is. I know everybody's laughing, but honestly, it's so wonderful to be able to represent such a lot of wonderful people who really care for our community, who really work hard and who really want to change things. And I'm just so proud that you've let me do it again. So I hope I never let you down. Thank you.
So congratulations, Madam Chairman. So if you can make the formal declaration here, and then we'll sign the book.
Thank you. I, Councillor Dedman, having been elected to the office of Chair of BCP Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you. Can I just say that there's a little bit on my notes about swapping over the chain, but luckily I don't have to, but otherwise I would have done. Item 4, election of Vice Chair of the Council. Councillors, I seek nominations for the election of Vice Chairman of the Council until the next annual Council meeting in 2027. Do I have nominations, please? Councillor Rigby.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations again. I would like to nominate Councillor Bull to continue in the role, and I feel like I've done him absolutely dirty because I've not prepared a speech at all after those ones before. So that's it, a nomination for Councillor Bull to carry on. Thank you.
Right, and do we have a seconder? Councillor Rice.
Yes, I also don't have a speech, but I would be thrilled to second Councillor Bull for Vice Chair. Thank you.
Do we have any more nominations? Right, I'm looking around. So, Councillor Bull, are you willing to do this again for another year?
Madam Chair, indeed I am.
Excellent. Right. Do we have consensus on that then, please, members? Thank you. Councillor Ball, do you want to say a few words of how wonderful these members are?
Well, when I first took on the role as Vice Chair, I wasn't expecting to be here 3 years later, accepting the role again. It's very kind of you to show your support for me, and it's a role I very much enjoyed, even if I am in the shadow of the Chair. But I'm always very glad to represent BCP when the opportunity arises, and also to be here as Vice Chair when necessary. Thank you so much.
Right, we're just going to make the declaration, thank you.
So, if you wouldn't mind making the declaration.
I, Councillor Bull, having been elected to the office of Vice Chair of BCP Council, declare that I take the office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. And can I say I'm really, really pleased to have Councillor Ball sitting here, and I'm sure you all are too. So thank you very much, Simon.
Thank you.
Agenda item 5, review of the political balance of the council, the allocation of seats on committees to each political group, and the appointment of councillors to committees and outside bodies. I'm going to call upon Councillor Earl to propose the recommendations in this report, please.
Apologies, I hit a starburst at the wrong moment there. As part of the annual review and following changes to political groups across the council recently, I'd like to refer colleagues to the agenda supplement, which shows the final version of the political balance that I'm proposing to council. This covers committee places and outside bodies. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Richard Jones, who has been able to pull this together for this meeting since the last change yesterday. However, I need to also state the total number of seats shown against the Green Group in Table 2 should read 7 and not 10 in the supplementary paper. So yeah, very happy to propose this to council.
And Councillor Earl, do you have a seconder for that, please?
I second and reserve my right. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, does anybody wish to speak before we agree this? Thank you.
Does it go red? I don't know if this helps or... I don't know if it helps or needs to be said, but as a matter of clarification, I understand there's an extra, there's an unappointed spot on the licensing committee. I wanted to nominate Dwayne Farr to fill it because he's graciously volunteered to on behalf of Paul Engage. I didn't know if that had to be a decision by the council or not.
Can I just go back to the leader to answer that, please?
Yeah, very happy to answer that. So if we have a look at recommendation D of the paper, it says that Councillor Mark Howe and Councillor Dwayne Farr be appointed to fill the positions on the licensing committee referred to in paragraph 12 of this report. So it does include that.
I just want to make sure it's in.
Thank you, leader. Does anybody else? Sorry, Councillor Salmon, were you waving or? Oh, okay. Right, I'm going to take that as nobody wishing to speak further.
So I've had this on, so yeah, is this broken?
Oh,
Yeah, it's just
Sorry,
that's an
Councillor.
admin point. Don't we normally get a list of meeting dates? Has that been circulated, or have I missed it, or is that coming?
I would bravely say that will be coming, but I will refer to the lead.
Yeah, that was at the last meeting.
So if nobody else wishes to say something now, do we have consensus on this? Thank you. Yeah, come on.
Chair, do you mind if I just, so recommendation G is in relation, sorry, I think you were taking them all en bloc.
Oh, yes.
But recommendation G is actually that we need to fill a vacancy on the Dorset Pension Fund Committee, and we need you to seek nominations for that. If there's more than one nomination, we will need to carry out a ballot.
Councillor Carr-Brown.
Hello, yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Canavan for that position, please. Thank you.
Does Councillor Canavan accept that, by the way? Councillor Earl.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Felicity Rice for that as well, please.
Do we have any more nominations for that? Right, so. Councillor Canavan, you wish to speak?
Yeah, I had misread the paper. I had understood Councillor Rice was already on this body, but I'm quite happy to withdraw my nomination in support of Councillor Rice.
Well, thank you very much, Councillor Canavan. So now we have one nomination, who is Councillor Rice. I think, shall we leave it there then? Thank you. Thank you very much, members, and thank you very much, Councillor Rice, and thank you very much, Councillor Canavan. Agenda item 6, appointment to outside bodies. I'm going to call upon Councillor Earl again to propose the recommendations in our report.
Thank you, Chair. Another annual report that we get at annual council. This is about the appointment of individual councillors to the external bodies. I'm sure councillors will agree with me that a lot of these bodies do some incredible work in the community, and there's some which don't meet at all. But it is as it stands, and I want to thank councillors for putting in their amendments and working, and for Sarah as well for all the work she's done getting this up to date. It also includes a delegation of those vacancies or additions or changes. It delegates that to me as leader with the monitoring officer, and also to work with the appropriate group leaders. So if any changes do need to be made, then please do give us a shout and we can make those. Thank you.
Councillor Earl, is there a seconder for this?
Seconded.
Thank you, Councillor Cox, for seconding. Any councillor? Oh, Councillor Salmon.
Great. I believe I am incorrectly showing us on the board of Tricuro. I'm definitely not on the board of Tricuro and never have been.
Can I consult you, leader, as to that? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, just looking, just to be sure you're looking at the agenda supplement, because I believe that was amended into the final version, where it says Tricuro Executive Shareholder Board, which includes Councillor Bartlett, Councillor Brown, Councillor Canavan and Councillor Mike Cox.
Councillor Cooper, you were indicating.
I've brought this up a few times, but I'm down on the Hamworthy Turlingmore Youth Centre Management Committee, and very sadly, it doesn't exist anymore. There's not a youth centre, there hasn't been one for quite some time, so it's quite painful to see every year, because I used to work there, Sandra. So that needs adjusting, if that's okay. In case I have to do a report on it.
Yes, we were going to ask you for that at the next meeting, Councillor Cooper. Any more speakers on this? I I think that's satisfactory then. Do we have consensus on this? Agreed, thank you. Agenda item 7, appointment of Director of Law and Governance Monitoring Officer. Can I call upon you, Councillor Hannah, to propose the recommendations in the report?
Thank you, Chairman. I formally move the recommendation to appoint Tim O'Gara to the position of Director of Law and Governance and Monitoring Officer. In doing so, I would like to thank the members of the cross-party appointments panel and the professional colleagues and partners who conducted the thorough appointment process reflected in the report for their time and their diligence. The details of the appointments process is set out in the report, as is the summary of Mr. O'Gara's extensive experience, his skills and his career history, which cannot fail to impress. I move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hannah. Councillor Canavan, I believe you're going to second the recommendations here.
Yes, just want to formally second it at this stage, please, Chair, and reserve my right. Thank you.
Councillor Joe Salmon.
So I just had 4 questions on this appointment that I'd like to ask, and so.
Councillor Salmon, can I just say, if there are any concerns on this, we go below the line and put it into confidential. But can you repeat what you said, because I was talking? I'm so sorry.
Well, I've got 4 questions I'd like to ask, and I assume that means we're going to need to go to a confidential session for me to ask those questions.
Councillor Slade, are you saying the same thing? We will go into confidential session.
Yes, please.
Session.
Yeah.
Councillor Howell.
Yeah, I have a concern.
We're still in public.
Still in public. Yeah, that's my point. I think one of my concerns, it should stay in public because it's about the process that's been adopted and not any discussion of the candidate's CV.
Well, I'm going to ask the monitoring officer about that, because I think I would prefer a lot of it to be confidential, but I'll ask the monitoring officer.
Chairman, I'm aware of the issue that Councillor Howe wants to raise. I would agree that it doesn't relate to the applicant individually or his CV. It does go to process, but it's very difficult for me to comment beyond that. But Councillor Howell, I think, is probably permitted to make his point. Whether or not we can respond to it in an open session or at all this evening is a different matter. But I don't think I can object to his question or query, as it doesn't relate to personal information.
Right, Councillor Howell, then, can you do that for us?
Yes. So the monitoring officer, in my view, is pretty much the most important position in the council. We don't actually have to have a CEO, but only a head of paid service. The monitoring officer has the final say on any decision, and you can't really appeal that. You can potentially go to the ombudsman, but that's a long, drawn-out process essentially, it's really important we have the right person in place. So it's really important that the process to appoint that person is correct. Now, I have, in any case, concerns about the fact that the panel was so heavily weighted towards the Cabinet and the Three Towns Alliance. But I have a really serious concern about whether the leader should have participated in this process. The leader is currently subject, the leader filed a complaint against me in relation to matters about legal governance in the period of the last permanent legal officer, monitoring officer, and I made a complaint against the leader in relation to similar circumstances. So I don't think that, I think the leader should have withdrawn. I asked AI, ChatGPT, should a councillor recuse themselves? I know you have complete disdain for AI, but that's one of the problems, I think, in moving this council forward. But I asked, should a councillor recuse themselves from the appointment process for a monitoring officer if the Standards Committee is considering a complaint against them? And the answer was, in England, the safest and most defensible position is usually yes. A councillor should seriously consider recusal from any appointment process for a monitoring officer if they are currently the subject of an active standards complaint, especially where the new monitoring officer could later have responsibility for handling, advising on, or overseeing that complaint. The key issue is not only actual bias, but the appearance of bias or predetermination. Under the principles underlying the Local Government Association Model Code of Conduct, councillors are expected to act with integrity, objectivity, accountability and openness. Guidance also stresses that decisions must be fair and be seen to be fair. A councillor in that position may not necessarily have a disclosable pecuniary interest under the Localism Act 2011, but there can still be a non-pecuniary personal interest, an issue of apparent bias, or a conflict with the Nolan principles of public life, particularly integrity and objectivity. The strongest concern arises where the monitoring officer appointment panel could influence who later advises on the complaints against the councillor.
Councillor Howell,
The councillor
Councillor Howell, you have had a long time to say all this.
That's literally the last bit.
Just one then.
The strongest concern arises where the monitoring officer appointment panel could influence who later advises on the complaints against the councillor. The councillor participates in shortlisting interviews, the complaint is active or likely to progress, or a reasonable member of the public could think the councillor was trying to influence the choice of the officer overseeing standard matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Earl, you wish to respond?
It always pains me when my integrity is challenged in the council chamber. I don't think that is fair at all. But I also, it did not even cross my mind for a minute that I had a complaint outstanding against Councillor Howell. And in fact, now you've just reminded me of it. It's the first time I've fought in it about a year. So that's all I've got to say.
I think that says something in itself.
Councillors, I now am going to put us into confidential exempt session. So under section 100A bracket 4 of the Local Government Act 1972, the public are to be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 1 in part 1 of the Schedule 12A of the Act, and the public interest in withholding the information outweighs such interest in disclosing the information. Do I have a proposer for going into exempt session? Councillor Cox. And a seconder? Councillor Hannah. Right, members, we will go into exempt session then if we all agree. Thank you. Thank you. So sorry, I did say consensus. So do we all agree? Yes. Members, we're going into open session now. We're coming out of exempt session. We are now live. Members, we are still on the item that we were perusing before we went into exempt session. And we now need to go to the vote, and we will have to vote by raising our hands. So I'm going to ask first of all, all those in favour. Thank you, members. Hands down. Members against. Abstentions. Yes, can you read it out, Chief?
Okay, so in summary, those for, 47, those against, 1, abstentions, 10.
Thank you, members. So that's carried. We move on to agenda item 8, extension of secondment of the interim Chief Finance and Section 151 officer. I'm going to call upon Councillor Cox to propose.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm disappointed that councillors are leaving because this is by far and away.
Councillor Cox, can I just say, no, I'm not Madam Mayor, thank you. I'm
Sorry,
the chairman.
Chair.
Don't get that right.
I did say Madam Chair, I think. As I say, I'm disappointed because this is, in my opinion, the most important role of the council, despite what some people might say. I just really wanted to update you on the external recruitment process for the Chief Financial Officer. And actually say that the process was as rigorous as the previous process, and that actually there was quite a bit of controversy over this particular appointment, and we found ourselves in difficult circumstances. And certainly myself and Councillor Beasley found ourselves in a very difficult and uncomfortable position of agreeing with each other, whereas Councillor Canavan and my leader were agreeing on the opposite direction. But actually, we did all come to an agreement in the end as to the way forward. And the way forward was that we actually extend the secondment of the interim Chief Financial Officer, Matt Filmer, partly because we think he's doing a really good job so far and he's come into his own, and partly because we just there were doubts about the candidates we had. That we didn't think they quite matched the quality that we wanted. And so I would like to recommend to the council that we extend the secondment of Matt Filmer until July 27, which gives him a good year to get into the job and maybe hopefully apply for the final job at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. And Councillor Beasley, I believe you're going to second.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm delighted to second, and I reserve my right to speak.
Well, members, is there any debate on this? I see no wish for debate, so Councillor Beasley, do you want to?
Well, thank you very much indeed, Madam Chair, and I endorse everything that Councillor Cox has just said. And in this mood of harmony, which I trust will last, but perhaps not for very long, I have no hesitation in seconding Matt Filmer's position in terms of extending his interim role. It was quite interesting through the process, in so much as we had interviewed appointable candidates, but then standing within us in plain sight, we didn't think that they actually matched the calibre and potential of somebody who has risen to the challenge as the interim Chief Financial Officer in Section 151, and who we felt very strongly would be able to carry that through and would actually, I think, be underlined by the confidence of members in that process. And I'm delighted that Matt Filmer has agreed to take on that interim role, and then we will need to reconsider at the end of that period. I would ask actually for members to look at in Appendix 1 to the papers his candidate summary, because I think it tells you a big story about how, if you like, a homegrown officer who started here 12 years ago has actually blossomed into somebody of such calibre, and I think we should be encouraging that. And he is a prime example of what the council can do with its people if it's so minded to do. And I think the cross-party member appointment panel were perfectly happy with taking this route. It's an unusual route. It isn't one that we thought of at the very start because Matt Filmer didn't apply for the post. But it is one that evolved as we were speaking. And I think it's something that will not only enhance this council in very difficult, almost grave financial times, but it will also obviously enhance him and his ability to demonstrate that he can fulfil the role. So, Madam Chair and members, I have no hesitation in seconding the appointment.
Thank you, Councillor Beasley. Do I have consensus on this, or would you prefer to... Consensus? Thank you. Right, that's the end of this meeting at 10 past. Before you all go, can I just say one thing? I didn't make a great big emotional speech. I just simply thanked all of you for being so wonderful. Can I add to that? I really think the officers are absolutely super. The ones on the platform with me, and also the civic team who are not here tonight, but they're all very good humoured, very willing to help. And so thank all of you. Thank you, members.